That damn Kefauver Committee. From March 13th through about the 30th, 1951, the living room of our house was the place to be. My Uncle Jack and Aunt Thelma were over, and our next-door neighbors, the Annunziatas, showed up just about every day around 5 o'clock. They'd all sit on the folding chairs my folks would set up and over on the couch. My dad and my uncle insisted that we kids watch it also. It's history in the making, Dad used to say before the show began each day. The New York City schools let the seniors go home early to watch the hearing. They called it democracy in action. The day before the televised committee meetings began in the federal courthouse in Lower Manhattan, March 12th of 1951, U.S. Senator Estes Kefauver from the great state of Tennessee made the front cover of Time magazine. He was a national celebrity. This was going to be his final stop on the crusade to free America from the horrors of organized crime and interstate commerce. That's what the Kefauver Committee was called. First, let me give you a little bit of explanation about the committee. The full name for it was the Senate Committee on Organized Crime and Interstate Commerce, and that committee needed a chairman. Nobody wanted the committee assignment. 1951 was a year away from the presidential as well as the senatorial elections, and you could just get buried chairing some stupid committee on organized crime and interstate commerce, which nobody was interested in. Just not a wise election year issue. There was another committee out there looking for a chairman that interested Estes, something that would get him in the limelight. Being the junior senator from Tennessee was okay, but Estes Kefauver had his sights set on higher office. The problem was that damn drunken loudmouth from Wisconsin, also a junior senator, who didn't have 1 day's seniority on Estes, was already campaigning to get on the House Un-American Activities Committee. HUAC, as it was called. But when Joe McCarthy got that job, Senator Kefauver took over as chairman of the Organized Crime Committee, looked at it, and after a little bit of study, he thought, maybe I can do something with this committee after all that'll reflect back on me. The original charge of the committee, as defined by Chairman Senator Kefauver, was to combat any type of organized crime which spilled over state borders. Such crimes include drug trafficking, smuggling of cigarettes or liquor on which no taxes have been paid, theft, hijacking, extortion, kidnapping, pornography, stock manipulation, stock fraud, prostitution, and bond fraud. That was the written aim of the committee. There were also some unspecified crimes, all having to do with stopping commerce from crossing interstate boundaries for illegal purposes. All pretty laudable stuff, right? What they ended up investigating, however, had nothing to do with interstate commerce. It had to do with illegal gambling. Not wire gambling, not bookmaking, which does go interstate. We're talking about slot machine operators, casinos with tuxedoed croupiers spinning roulette wheels, and poker games. I don't mean to minimize the work that the committee did, and it provided a lot of entertainment for a lot of people who had never seen a real mobster before. It also brought to light the revelations, as it described them, about gambling in America. Of course, these revelations were about illegal gambling clubs that had been operating completely out in the open for the last 20 years or so. Although Kefauver's committee visited a total of 14 different cities, Kefauver's home state of Tennessee certainly had its share of the gambling parlors and vice. Yet his home state of Tennessee was never looked at by the committee. All the Memphis bookmakers were safe as long as Old Estes was in charge of the committee, apparently. It really was great drama. Television was in its infancy, and the Kefauver Committee caught the nation's interest.